Hey everyone, Ridden here, and thank you for coming. And tonight, we're going to be reviewing the latest film to now enter the Marvel pantheon of blockbuster hits. Starring Simu Liu, Awkwafina, and Tony Leung, this movie seems to have come out of nowhere and completely taken both the critical and average movie-going audience by storm, debuting at and maintaining a 99% Rotten Tomato score with well over 1,000 reviews now in, clearly indicating that the MCU followed up its Disney Plus rollout and Black Widow with yet another story to enthrall the masses. Here are my thoughts on Shang Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. Welcome back everyone. This weekend I had the pleasure once again of venturing out to my local theater to see Shang Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings in all of its silver screen glory. And the experience as a whole was every bit as awesome as I expected it to be. The trailers leading up to the movie did a fantastic job of rolling out a bit of the mythos involved with Shang-Chi and the history of the Ten Rings, but didn't give away anything too integral to the plot so as to spoil any potential reveals in the actual theater. I really enjoyed the opening of the movie with Shang-Chi's mother narrating his father's story, bringing us up to speed on all of the happenings within his world, going back thousands of years to when his father first began his conquest. It was really cool how it would seem they have chosen to interweave the details of the comics into this origin tale, as we see his mother say that the story of his father and how he got the rings has changed from generation to generation, one of which states that he found them in a crater, which is actually comic book accurate, as on the black and white pages, his father found the rings in the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon, where Fin Fang Foom, the shapeshifting McLuhan, was in slumber. The rings were with the Crass McLuhan spaceship that Fin Fang Foom, the navigator, and his fellow McLuhans came in their journey to conquer other planets, and the ring themselves were actually used to fly the spaceship. Foom was actually chosen to stay back with the ship as backup, while the rest ventured into the world of men, shapeshifting to blend in, and so Foom took an herb to enter a deep slumber that he would drift in and out of for ages to come. I must say that this opening, along with how Shang-Chi's mother and father met, has to be my favorite opening to any Marvel film in recent memory. It was quite refreshing and stepped away from the tried and true textbook method it would seem most of the films have fallen into. Seeing his father rise and evolve throughout the ages to finally happen upon the city of Tao Lo and the mystical martial arts form from the gods it held was intriguing to say the least, and the fighting scenes between the mother and father were both exciting and charming as we see the two begin to develop something deeper amidst the battle. None of it felt forced, and I almost forgot that neither of these two people were the title name character for the film I paid to see. And I really liked the fact that we got right into the film without having a youthful origin story play out chronologically as per the normal standard. So when we jumped straight to Simu Liu and Awkwafina and everything they had going on, I was even more pulled into the movie and how this was all going to play out. And because the movie is so long, one would think we had more than enough time to play around for a bit, setting up Sean's life in San Francisco. But the movie jumps right into the action, with one of the most technically exciting fighting scenes I've seen on screen in a very long time. There were tons of meta references placed throughout the film that while watching the movie were easy to pick out, but didn't detract too much attention from the film overall. We already knew that Abomination and Wong were going to be in the movie from the trailers, so finally seeing their full out fight that Wong eventually wins was indeed a treat. I feel this tidbit really added a different dynamic to the Wong character overall, but was nothing that felt out of place or forced. Seeing him kicking it with Abomination was actually pretty cool, as they've obviously spent some time together, and I'm hoping that we'll see this relationship expanded upon down the road and the circumstances that led to it. And when the bus scene happens, I was geeking out over the reappearance of Cleve the street vendor from Spider-Man Homecoming. Gotta love the continuity in small things Marvel continues to cling to. And for anyone with a decent enough memory, they'll remember that this isn't the first time we've seen Michelle Yeoh in the MCU, as she appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 briefly as Alita Olgard, wife to Sylvester Stallone's Stakar Olgard, during Yondu's farewell ceremonies.
But I think he'd be proud knowing that we're back as a team.
Hell yes.
Addressing the strength and presentation of the story overall, everything gels together really well, and the pacing was excellent here. Before you know it, you're through the opening and you get a basic understanding of what Sean's life is in San Francisco. And before you get too comfortable, we're off overseas to find his sister before his dad's goons do. We didn't quite make it to the fighting tournament the way I believed we would, and the cage fighting itself wasn't at all for the purpose a lot of us speculated that it would be, as the belief was that we would see different skilled fighters from all over competing in a tournament to see who would get ownership of the rings. And it turns out it was just Shang-Chi's sister and her popular underground fight club she erected in defiance to her father. The scaffolding fight scene was super dope, and I liked how throughout the film there wasn't a ton of time spent explaining the minor intricacies of Shang-Chi's ability or special strength or speed or power, but instead we're just shown all of these things through action and left to make our own assumptions. As of now, the only thing I'm sure of is that Shang-Chi uses the rings much more effectively than his father, which is why I believe we see them light up in the same orange light when he uses them as does his mom in the beginning of the movie when she's handling his father. So while they may have made his father extremely powerful and long-lived, the takeaway is that he wasn't actually using the rings to their full capabilities during all that time. Plus, I also believe there's a metric of distance that comes into play as well. So once we see Shang-Chi in the dimension that Ta Lo resides in, there is a chance he has a different set of powers available to him due to his proximity to the Great Protector Dragon. And although nothing was definitively stated, I do believe the people of Ta Lo are meant to be the MCU's take on McLuhan's, or maybe they're direct descendants, as I do believe they are descendants of the Great Protector Dragon in some way, which explains why some people like Shang-Chi's aunt have the innate abilities that come along with the dragon scale weapons. I loved all the different actors' portrayals of their roles. It really seems like everyone understood their assignments and became one with their characters. Simu Liu has been on my radar for a while now, as I am an avid watcher of Kim's Convenience over on Netflix, and Awkwafina has done quite well for herself in recent outings, especially Crazy Rich Asians. Michelle Yeoh was as spectacular as always, and Tony Leung, Fala Chen, Benedict Wong, and Ben Kingsley rounded out the cast in true star-studded fashion. The villains in the film were also A1 in my opinion. Tony Leung is a legend here and abroad, and he really hammered home every single bit of his performance. I completely bought into him being an immortal, nefarious warrior who fell in love and went from being a bad guy to a good guy and then back to being somewhat misled. And I like the fact that he wasn't really a true villain in the end, in a sense, because at one point I thought they would have him intentionally lying to Shang-Chi and his sister to have them help him invade Ta Lo, knowing his wife wasn't there. But it turns out he really did believe he was working to bring his family back together. So the decision to have the Soul Sucker be the real villain worked for me, and the Mandarin's sacrifice at the end to save his son was redemption enough for me, bestowing the rings to Shang-Chi in his final moments. The two post-credit scenes for the movie were both amazing and had everyone in our theater cheering like crazy. Especially the first one where we see Sean and Katie sitting back in the bar with their friends explaining the entire plot of what we've just gone through, a story which their friends clearly don't believe. But that disbelief doesn't last long, as Wong appears in much the same fashion that Doctor Strange pulled up on Pepper Potts and Tony Stark in Infinity War and tells them to come with him. And this is where things get really fun, as we see Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner phoning in holographically here, post the events of Endgame with Wong to try to see what's going on Earth that has sent reverberations across the entire universe. Hence, that being Shang-Chi using the rings when he destroyed the Soul Sucker. So the implications here are huge because the question posed is, who are the rings calling out to? They're obviously quite ancient and powerful, so I believe this will be a huge storyline going forward in the MCU and the next phases. And I think we may even get an answer to this question before the next Shang-Chi sequel. With space and abroad becoming a much larger priority for Kevin Feige and his team over at Marvel Studios, it's really exciting to just contemplate, as a fan, what exactly they could have in store for us next. So yes, I would highly recommend this film to you and anyone else who would heed my referral. The trailers leading into the movie really left a lot to be desired in my honest opinion, and the marketing seemed to just really undersell the experience, which in hindsight was a good thing as the film over-delivers on every front. This is definitely what the MCU needed coming off of Black Widow and the Disney Plus releases, as this will bolster excitement even more in what's to come in Eternals and Spider-Man No Way Home. I will of course be continuing to cover all live action Marvel and Star Wars here on my channel, and films from all walks of life that I have the pleasure of watching. And if you feel so inclined, I would love to have you back here week in and week out to continue to cover it all with us. Again, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell for notifications if you've enjoyed our content here tonight. Jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And while you're at it, be sure to check out some of the other content here on the channel. All of the necessary links are listed here below for you to keep up with the coming content and shareables. Please be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. Or just the one you use most frequently. We are slowly but surely building a community here, and I would personally love for you to be a part of that. And last but not least, we have a merch store. So whether you see something you like or just simply want to support the channel, head on over to our shop and grab something, or grab everything. But again, thank you so much, guys and gals, for visiting here with us today. I really appreciate each and every viewing minute of your time you've given us. There's loads of content we'll be sending your way, so I'll be seeing you. But for now, be blessed. And it was written.
Across the nighttime, the city sleep inside. Yeah, hear her voice, shake my window, sweet seduce inside. Yeah, in me out into the nighttime. Four walls won't hold me tonight.